Yo, what is good, everybody? It is your boy Golden Falls, Golden What Ifs, whatever you want to call me, and I am back. This is a brand new What If. What if Tanjiro had space breathing? And as always, if you guys enjoy, show some love, leave a like, leave a sub, leave a comment down below. All that good stuff. And yeah, I don't really have that much else to say. Hope you guys enjoy this video. And yeah, I hope you guys are still enjoying the content as well. Leave suggestions down below in the comment section as well. Just if you guys want to hear anything or if you guys want to see anything specific in terms of Tanjiro what ifs or whatever you guys have in mind. Now, with that said, I don't want to waste much more of your time and I want to get right into it. So let's get it. Tanjiro Kamado, well, he has a pretty typical life, you could say so, in terms of what he goes through in the early parts of his life. And everything that happens normally goes very similar, if not exactly the same. But during all these courses of events and during everything that's ensuing, after he basically finds his family taken out and his sister turned into a demon, he would then face off with Giyu Tomioka. And when he faces off with Giyu in basically trying to actually save his sister, something comes over him. Something different. Something he's never felt before, and something that he's truly never or has truly never even understood by any means. He's always felt stronger than everybody. He's always felt a little bit faster than everybody, but he never knew exactly why. And when he got closer to Tomioka, when the hatchet would be in the sky and it would get closer and closer, eventually Tomioka would actually realize that not only is the hatchet moving a lot quicker than he thought, but he is having a very, very difficult time moving as well. It seems he's trying to move out of the way, but it's like he can't. He legitimately can't move out of the way properly, and he has no idea what's going on or what's happening. He just barely, when I say barely, I mean barely dodges out of the way of him getting basically, smacked in the face with the hatchet, and he just barely gets out of harm's way, and he realizes, what just happened? It felt like I was slowed down. It felt like I couldn't move. It felt like everything was coming to a halt, and he didn't understand why. He didn't understand how all this was happening and what was even going on. But what he does know is that whatever this kid is doing, he did something. Tanjiro Kamado did something to basically slow him down, halt him, and kind of change the entire the entire idea of what was going to happen in this quote-unquote fight. Obviously, we know it wasn't really going to be a fight. So it was kind of just Tomioka's way of seeing what the kid was going to do and what he was really capable of, right? That's kind of what was happening during this time. But at the same time, he's pretty damn shocked what he was able to do and what he could do. Now, he ends up asking him about this after he wakes up, but he doesn't get any straight information. Obviously, he has no idea. Tanjiro doesn't know. So how is he supposed to explain something that he has no clue about at all? So he's telling him yeah, I don't know, man. I have no clue what happened. Yeah, there's from time to time I get this feeling of being able to actually, for the most part, outspeed things, slow things down, be stronger than most things and stuff like that. But he has legitimately no idea, no idea what the hell is going on. He doesn't know anything about it. He doesn't know anything, along the lines of how he's doing those things, how he was able to do the certain things he did. And Giyu just decides that, maybe he was just off. Maybe he just, something happened and he wasn't really thinking straight or something, whatever, right? He doesn't know, but he's thinking, all right, it has to be something else. So he kind of just allows Tanjiro to leave, tells him about Urokodaki, and he goes towards Urokodaki's area with Nezuko and runs into the Temple Demon. And when he runs into the Temple Demon, well, this is a pretty easy fight for Tanjiro. The Temple Demon seems slower. Tanjiro's packing more of a punch, and it seems that there's definitely something going on, at least around the kind of aura, around the area of effect that Tanjiro is able to utilize. He's not, 100% certain what's going on, but he does know that these little battles that he's had in the past literal day, well, now, probably like 8 hours or whatever, have been a lot easier than they ever would have been in the first place. It's not like Tanjiro is going around fighting everybody, don't get me wrong, he doesn't do that, but he's never felt such an odd sensation that he's able to slow things down, slow people down, fight at a higher rate, fight, faster, stronger, anything. He had no idea any of this was happening. And Urokodaki is watching, and he can tell that there's something else going on. A breathing style of some sorts that Tanjiro has no idea he's utilizing, without even kind of, understanding it. He's utilizing it just automatically. And Urokodaki is confused by this, but when they start training together, Urokodaki and Tanjiro, he starts really delving into this idea, and he tells Tanjiro they're going to focus on water breathing and they're going to focus on him learning it, but don't hold back the other automatic things that may pop into your head and may, flow through your body while trying to utilize water breathing. Now, it takes him the normal amount of time to learn water breathing, learn concentration breathing, all that stuff, right? All of that is exactly the same. But when he is working and training with the spirits of Sabito and Makomo, he starts understanding what Urokodaki was saying. It seems like when Tanjiro closes the distance, things slow down. Not only does the person that's in front of him slow down, but it also feels like the entire area, like as if he's affecting gravity itself, making himself lighter and the person in front of him heavier. And on top of that, when he learns about this, he realizes that gravity can allow him to, train better himself as well. Yeah, he can lessen the gravity on himself by a little bit and, do things along those lines. But getting comfortable with a gravity that's slightly higher might allow him to be even just more effective. Yeah, his normal weight would skyrocket depending on how much gravity he inflicts on himself, but it seems to be helping and also making his power that much greater. Now, during this time, he does get a ton of training in. Eventually, he does slice the boulder, but all that training, especially with the a little bit enhanced gravity and his ability to lower it as well, made him physically way more stronger than he normally would have been. And when he starts at the final selection and he has his encounter with these various demons, he defeats them very easily, and that would include an eventual fight with the hand demon. When the hand demon is throwing basically, hands, he's trying to attack Tanjiro. Tanjiro is able to subdue every part of him very quickly, slicing one of the hands of the hand demon, and the gravity that he inflicts basically forces the hand straight to the ground, unable to move. It's almost as if he's basically forcing it and adding a gravitational pull toward it so that he can no longer move from the ground itself, giving Tanjiro a wide open way to defeat the hand demon, slicing the neck off of the hand demon swiftly and defeating him. But even the hand demon, as death or at death's door, is in complete and utter shock, thinking to himself, how? I don't get it. I don't understand what this kid is able to do and why he was able to do it. It makes no sense at all. I've seen strong demon slayers. I've seen this, I've seen that. This is like a different power. It makes no sense. It doesn't even he can't even fathom it at all. That this idea of someone's able to essentially inflict a gravitational pull on him, and he just can't even fathom how any of this makes sense. And at the end of the day, it seems that Tanjiro is affecting the hand demon, or affected him in a way that no demon has ever been affected in their lives or in their entire existence. Now, after the obviously the final selection, Tanjiro would finish up, get his Nichiren blade and all that stuff, and Urokodaki tells him that yes, follow the art of water breathing to its fullest extent, But understand, accept that additional ability as with open arms. Accept your additional ability as much as you possibly can. Don't fight it. Don't reject it. Don't think to yourself that you shouldn't be utilizing it. Utilize it to its utmost ability. And of course, Tanjiro is listening. I mean, he's like 100%. I will do that, and I promise I will do that, and I will not let your training go to waste. And before you know it, that idea would go into full fruition, because when he faces off with the Swamp Demon, somebody who has these portals of some sorts, Tanjiro would ground him so fast. I mean, he would legitimately make it so he no longer can move, and Tanjiro would walk towards him, closing the distance, and slice his neck off with very, very little kind of contention. And the Swamp Demon's in shock. I mean, he's sitting there or standing there, unable to move, unable to do anything, and he can't even believe it. But when he watches Tanjiro walk up to him, he sees one thing. He sees Yorichi. He sees the one and only Yorichi. Now, obviously, these are legitimately not his actual memories. These are not his memories at all. But these are the memories of, well, the one and only Muzan Kibutsuji. And, well, let's just say this would be one hell of a shocker. This would be one hell of a shocker for the Swamp Demon, because at the end of the day, he's thinking, oh, like, he's just a typical demon slayer. He's just this, he's just that. And, well, he realizes very quickly that is not the case. He is far from your typical demon slayer, and it seems like the demons are in for a very, very rude awakening. Because before you know it, Tanjiro would already be out and about, would already be progressing, and one thing he is progressing towards is the first meeting he is going to have with Muzan Kibutsuji. Because the first time he meets him is going to be in the city that never sleeps, and when Muzan stares at Tanjiro, he senses something, sees something, and can tell that Tanjiro is different. There's something about him that makes him uneasy, and it's making him feel heavy. It's making him feel like he's dragging his feet. It's making him feel like he can't go and move step by step by step. He feels different. Muzan does his best to get out of there. I mean, obviously, Tanjiro isn't going to fight here anyways, not wanting to hurt anybody. And his limited knowledge of his abilities of this so-called space-like breathing is definitely not something that he's, super in depth with. He only knows the basics of what he's able to utilize. So he's kind of like, okay, I'll let you go. Like, I'm not going to risk people's lives. And eventually Muzan would turn somebody into a demon. Tanjiro would kind of help out, make sure that nobody gets hurt. And then Lady Tamaya or Yushido would bring him to Lady Tamaya, and they would have a conversation about basically curing his sister Nezuko. Now, obviously, this is not going to be an easy thing to do. I mean, curing your sister from being a demon is definitely not an easy thing. Far from that, actually. So they do have a conversation about how they think they can do it, what they think they should do, and how to kind of approach the situation. But the main thing is getting the blood of the 12 Kizuki. And that right there is the main thing. The main thing that they're going to need, and mainly need in terms of, dealing with kind of the eventual ability to actually cure his sister. And Tanjiro hears this loud and clear. And he's 100% understanding that these demons are not going to be easy to defeat, but he also needs it so that his sister can, be the person she once was again. And he won't stop at anything to make sure that this happens. And before you know it, though, a ball would come soaring through the building, and Tanjiro would be reacting quickly, and he would not hesitate one bit. He would be outside already basically striking down one of the demons that has shown up at their doorstep. And Tanjiro, with a little bit of help from the other three, aka Tamiyao, Yushiro, and Nezuko, he's able to basically overwhelm the demons very quickly and actually lines them both up. What they do is they kind of herd them together, figure out where they are, herd them into a place, and Tanjiro, well, he would basically land a slash that's not meant to end a demon, but lands the slash on the chest of one of them. And as they basically back up and heal up, it seems like they're like, oh yeah, that's all you really got, in which then that one slash would turn into its own gravitational pull, yanking the other demon straight towards the other one, lining them both up, and Tanjiro would then immediately dash towards them at a pretty insane speed, slicing through the necks of both of them. And just like that, it would be the end of Susumaru and Yahaba, ending the lives of both of those demons before they could even really get a good hit in. And Tanjiro would basically thank Lady Tamiyao and Yushiro for the help, thank them for the information, and thank them for being so kind, and telling them that he will be back and he hopes to repay the favor as much as he possibly can. And this would lead to Tanjiro leaving with Nezuko, or meeting with Zenitsu for the very first time, and then eventually dragging him along to the nearby mansion that basically has the little brother of these two, or the brother, excuse me, of these two little kids. And as the group would get split up, Tanjiro would encounter a member or former member of the 12 Kizuki in Kyogai, and Tanjiro would basically look at him and wonder, like, what's wrong with him? Like, he seems so, like, in a way sad. I don't know, but he's kind of weirded out by it. But he tells him that he just wants the child, right? The brother that is here. And Kyogai's like, yeah, that's not happening, like, blah, blah, blah. Like, that child is, for the most part, like, has a special type of blood and all this stuff, right? And Tanjiro's like, yeah, well, we'll see about that. And when the room starts kind of moving and shaking, Tanjiro would get closer and closer to Kyogai as he's trying to, like, move the room around, and Kyogai can feel that it's so much harder for him to actually tap his drums. He doesn't understand why, but it feels like his arms are heavier, and they continuously get heavier as Tanjiro closes the distance, utilizing water breathing to slice through the neck of Kyogai, but everything else is all from his space breathing, basically allowing him to essentially mess with for the most part, essentially mess with gravity, and also mess with Kyogai's ability to just move normally. And Tanjiro would slice through him before you know it, and Tanjiro would basically feel even greater, even more, and seemingly is learning more and more about the powers and his abilities that he is able to actually utilize. He's been utilizing such a small portion of it, and he's realizing now that there's so much more that he could do. He just has to basically crack the code in what it is, in which eventually Tanjiro kind of does. As he's moving throughout the mansion to make sure everything's okay, especially after seeing that random boar guy just come out of nowhere, he starts realizing that he can essentially make himself completely silent. He can make it so that demons and other people can no longer hear him at all, and that's what he starts doing. Moving around the area very swiftly, but also moving around dead silent, to the point where nobody, not even a single soul, can actually hear him. And eventually they're outside, and Tanjiro does run into Zenitsu, and Zenitsu is protecting the box of Nezuko. Tanjiro comes in and absolutely makes sure that Inosuke understands that that is his sister, and he gives him one hell of a fight. And Tanjiro, well, he overwhelms Inosuke. His fighting style is awkward and weird and all this stuff, but Inosuke is far slower, and Inosuke starts realizing, like, whatever he's doing it to a totally crazy degree. And he basically asked Tanjiro after he basically is defeated that he wants to know what he can do. Like, what is he able to do? Like, how is he able to do it and all that stuff. And Tanjiro tells him that he's able to essentially affect the gravity, right, of people around him, of demons around him, in which Inosuke is like, oh, like to get an advantage in a fight, but why not affect people's gravity so that they could train even harder, train even better, get even stronger, in which Tanjiro's like, yeah, I do that as well. Like, I've done that for myself, in which he asked Tanjiro to please do that for him so that he can get stronger and so that he can become stronger than both of them and also become stronger than the Hashira themselves. In which Tanjiro hears this and he kind of smiles about it, and he thinks to himself that he hasn't really had friends like this, or at least people that were caring enough to like work together with. So it's kind of a nice change of pace. But Tanjiro likes the idea that training under some sort of gravity, as long as they're training with Tanjiro, he can basically affect them as long as they're within a certain distance. And Tanjiro understands this, and well, this is a conversation that needs to be kind of brought back up after they, handle their business elsewhere, which their business elsewhere would be at Mount Natagumo, because that eventual arrival at Mount Natagumo would bring them to a multitude of demons and demon slayers that are strung up by a ton of strings. And it seems like they are definitely in trouble, right? A lot of these demon slayers end up being, croaked and gone. But Tanjiro sees that this needs to be handled very, very swiftly. And as he tries to dash forward, he basically would swing towards one of the spiders that are on the ground, and as he does, he would cut a literal hole in space and time. He doesn't understand what the hell he just did, but it looks like he can hop through it and close the distance elsewhere. It seems like he's able to cut through the literal fabric of space, and it allows him to basically transport himself further somewhere else and along those lines. And when he does this, he does it on accident, not knowing how he did it, not knowing what's happening, and not knowing what's gonna happen if he walks through that portal. But eventually, he kind of just decides to hold off on that, and he helps with defeating the Mother Spider Demon's doll, and then eventually the Mother Spider Demon. Now, after they are defeated, Tanjiro and Inosuke are able to also overwhelm the Father Spider Demon, allowing them to still maintain a kind of like a duo partnership here while fighting. And Tanjiro is able to make Inosuke stronger by making it so that the gravity itself is not affecting him as much, allowing him to move a lot quicker, allowing him to kind of like, move and dip and dodge and weave along like a lot better, but also able to put one hell of an extra punch on his attacks as well. And eventually together they're able to defeat the Father Spider Demon, and then eventually they come across Rui and the Daughter Spider Demon, who Rui is absolutely berating, sending her away. But Tanjiro, well, he has he doesn't care that Rui thinks that he's like the top dog. He doesn't care that Rui thinks that he's better than his own siblings. And Tanjiro and Inosuke start fighting Rui head on. And frankly, Tanjiro by himself would be enough. He's a lot stronger than normal. And once he awakens the Hinokami Kagura on top of his space breathing is when he starts truly taking over. Because seemingly his Hinokami Kagura is drastically stronger. And it seems that it is because of space breathing itself. And it seems to have some sort of connection to the star of the sun in general, aka just stars in general. And it seems to Tanjiro that this fight is far, far, far easier than he thought it would be. But with the help of Inosuke, it makes it so it's very simple. They both defeat Rui together, and Tanjiro is able to just handle business, get the blood from that member of the 12 Kyuzuki, And now basically they're just awaiting the arrival of Giyu, who would arrive not too long after, and would basically say along the lines of like, he's pretty damn shocked that they were able to legitimately defeat a member of the 12 Kizuki. Not because, you know, like they're not capable and not this, they're not that, but legitimately it was impressive. Like they were able to handle it together as a duo. And Inosuke, well, he says that he probably could have handled it on his own, but even Tanjiro knows that that is definitely not the case. And Giyu kind of just like doesn't say anything. Tanjiro knows this, that without him, they definitely could not have defeated him. But, you know, that's completely fine. And eventually, Shinobu and Kanao would come after Nezuko, but that would lead us straight into basically them heading to the Hashira mansion. Tanjiro being kind of trialed by the Hashira, and eventually they would basically be told by Ubuyashiki that Tanjiro and Nezuko are now officially demon slayers, and with Nezuko discrediting Saname, it would be the end of that kind of conversation and that debate on the idea of if they are allowed to be demon slayers or not. And obviously Tanjiro would begin his rehabilitation training, but on top of that, he's not really that injured, but he still does a ton of training with Inosuke and Zenitsu with his gravity, and also making both of them quite a bit stronger than they normally would have been, right? Quite a bit stronger. And the reason for this is just the straight up physical and physicality, that having a little bit of extra gravity on top of them with, you know, their training regimen and all that. Yeah, it's a difficult process, but it still makes them like ridiculously powerful, to the point where they definitely can do one hell of a job in terms of like actually, you know, fighting and actually doing things like further than they normally would. Now, with that said, Tanjiro does want more information on this so-called flame breathing or fire breathing or whatever he was able to do, and eventually he does get more information as he goes and he meets with Kyojuro Rengoku with his little team of Zenitsu and Inosuke before you know it. Now, obviously, he doesn't get any crazy information off the bat, but he does get information that he basically needs to go and see his Rengoku's family, and maybe they have books over there on it. But before that even, you know, can happen, Tanjiro and all of them are put to sleep. But Tanjiro, luckily enough, is able to legitimately create a portal of some sorts out of this dreamland, essentially waking him up, because, well, it's pretty obvious that he is currently not dreaming, or is not, you know, is trying to be convinced that he's dreaming, but he just, or, you know, not convinced that he's dreaming, sorry, that he basically is in real life right now as he's actually dreaming. But he would cut through the dream itself, get out of the dream, and before you know it, would be at the front of the train. He would be closing the distance on Enmu faster than expected, and Tanjiro would tell Enmu flat out that his family, he loves them dearly, but it doesn't change the fact that they are gone. Enmu would tell him that he could have it all back. You know, he could live in that dream, like in that dream world and enjoy what he lost so greatly. But Tanjiro says that even if he could just slightly enjoy those moments, he knows that none of it will be real and none of it will be true. And he tells Enmu flat out that the only thing that will make him whole again is saving his sister and stopping Muzan Kibutsuji from hurting anyone else. And that right there, Enmu is terrified now, only seeing the image of Yorichi once again, just like those other demons. And Tanjiro would find the way straight through the neck of Enmu, slicing through the train to defeat him. And Tanjiro is focused, laser focused on the idea of making sure that his sister is cured. And after getting, the blood of that member of the 12 Kizuki, he would never expect an upper moon to show up, and Rengoku is forced to basically react and start fighting as much as he possibly can. In which Tanjiro, he wants to find a way to try to help him here, looking for an opening. And eventually, towards the end of the fight, he would find the opening, dashing forward, and you can't hear him at all. Akaza would get this feeling. He wouldn't hear anything, but he would sense something that is coming. He is kind of confused, and he doesn't understand what's happening, because yes, he does go off of, his ability to kind of sense things and ability to sense intent and aura, fighting aura and all that stuff. But when he senses something, he senses it, and he senses it coming from behind him, but he also doesn't hear a single thing, not even a little squeak. It seems to him that it throws him off, and Tanjiro would land a strike straight to the arm of Akaza, and Akaza would realize that somehow he was able to cloak his kind of footsteps, his sound, and his movements, and it basically caught him off guard just barely. But luckily Akaza was able, at least for himself, able to move out of the way and only get struck in the arm. The arm itself would be cut halfway through. Rengoku would basically kick the sword so that it would cut through it, and Tanjiro would be able to get out. But Tanjiro would back up and look towards kind of, Akaza, and he would immediately shove his sword into the ground. Akaza would be in shock, wondering what the hell is this kid doing, but Akaza would realize that he no longer can move. It feels like if he wants to move, it feels like it's the same amount of strength as if it is needed to basically run an entire mile. One footstep is essentially an entire mile, and he feels it. He doesn't understand. It feels like his head is collapsing into his shoulders. It feels like his arms are being pulled off and pulled away from his shoulders, and he doesn't understand how, and he doesn't understand why. And Rengoku would use this as an upper hand, a way to get the upper hand on Akaza, and he would strike towards Akaza with as much basically power as he possibly can, landing a blow that lands straight to the neck of Akaza, and he would begin slicing through him. And with the help of Tanjiro, they're able to subdue him long enough, with basically Akaza breaking through from time to time, but subdue him long enough for the sun to rise, and Tanjiro grabs onto Akaza and holds him still, inflicting both as much gravity on himself as he does Akaza too, holding him there entirely. But Akaza is able to break free, and Tanjiro loses focus. But just as Akaza is running away, Tanjiro would slice a portal straight basically at the ground, and Akaza would fall straight through. And as he does, he would find himself right back where he was, right underneath the sun, and the sun would obliterate him, cooking him, and also, legitimately burning him up. And Tanjiro would take substantial damage, because he literally inflicted an insane amount of gravity on himself, so that it hurt him pretty damn bad, and it's going to take quite a while for him to recover. But with Rengoku still alive, they're able to get quite a bit of information for Tanjiro on sun breathing. And Tanjiro, he's out for the count in terms of the entertainment district, but the way stronger versions of Inosuke and Zenitsu, they have no issues, no problems, no issues with helping and dealing with, the obvious, state of mind, or the state that the demon slayer of Tengen Uzui will be at. Now, obviously they have to deal with a upper moon, but it's a lower of the upper moons, but they are, since they are stronger, but they are down a person, a very vital person. Well, at the end of the day, it's still a bit of a struggle, leading to Tengen still retiring, but Inosuke and Zenitsu proving how much worth they truly have. And after all that is done, Tanjiro starts training with various people after being fully recovered, believing that his ability to make everybody else around him stronger is something to truly put forth. And initially, Tanjiro was going to train with a couple Hashira, but it seems that 2 of them are already at the Swordsmith's village. So it felt just right to send him there. So that's what they do. They send Tanjiro there to train with Mitsuri and Muchiro, and this training goes very well. Now, obviously, there's some pullback. Now, Mitsuri has no issues training with Tanjiro, but Muchiro a little bit different. Now, at least for the moment. But that would lead them to being all together, training, preparing all together, and eventually Hantengu and Gyoko would show up. But a fight with a stronger version of Tanjiro, would make quick work of these 2 upper moons, and Muchiro would make quick work of Gyoko being able to basically show off the strength that he has been incurring with Tanjiro standing by his side. And all of them, let's just say, start really finding a liking to Tanjiro and start understanding that he is 1 in a million in terms of his powers and ability. And Tanjiro, during this time, he tells all of them that he knows a way to get rid of Muzan permanently. Because Muzan, well, he obviously doesn't know that Nezuko conquers the sun, because Nezuko doesn't conquer the sun in this version. But eventually, they have a ton of training and all this stuff, preparing Tanjiro for that said moment. A moment where they can bait out the one and only Muzan, because they know that Muzan wants to confront Ubuyashiki. And Tanjiro is ready for it after countless training and countless amounts of training. And Tanjiro, well, he would find Muzan and he would eventually interact with him, and he would tell Muzan that this is his day of reckoning, and they both would start fighting to its utmost extent, Muzan having an upper hand, but Tanjiro lands one clean blow, slicing through him and forcing Muzan to basically slow down, kind of halting him into the ground, and Tanjiro would cut a hole straight beneath them, tackling Muzan and dragging him through as he's impaled by Muzan's blood demon art. But Tanjiro would take Muzan away from this area, and as he falls through that hole, Muzan starts realizing what's going on. He starts realizing that they no longer are where they're used to being. They're no longer in their normal area. He wonders where they are and what's happening, but he looks up to see the sun is already rising. He has no idea what's going on, what's happening, and what even occurred, but Tanjiro refuses to let go. Muzan basically impaling him over and over again, hurting Tanjiro drastically, but Tanjiro would kick Muzan and push him towards the sun, and the sun itself, with a clear area, an area unable to basically be able to escape from, Tanjiro pushes him away, falling through the portal as Muzan would reach out trying to escape through that said portal as well, but Tanjiro would close it and close the cut he made in space itself, landing next to the Demon Slayers once again, but also landing next to, not many of the Demon Slayers who are currently fighting within the Infinity Castle. Tanjiro tells them that Muzan is gone. Muzan has been defeated, and the other, lesser Demon Slayers are wondering how does he know, in which Tanjiro tells him that he brought him to a place where the sun was already rising and already up, but also brought him to a place that there was no escape. Yes, he might be able to stall himself out for 30 seconds, maybe a little bit longer, but there was nowhere to go. For miles and miles, there was no cover, there was no area, there was no place for him to save himself, and no place for him to kind of cower away. And they ask him, how does he know, and how does he truly know? In which Tanjiro tells him that a long time ago he saw something, he heard about something and saw something within books that's years and years and years, tens of hundreds of thousands of years ago. There was a place very similar to this that had no trees, that had no vegetation, had no nothing, and there was only one thing: the rising sun. And Tanjiro says that he brought that monster there and dropped them off, and said that worst comes to worst, if he is alive, we won't see him for a very long time. Tanjiro would then collapse, passing out, and nobody knows if Tanjiro Kamado could truly survive all of the horrible inflictions that were basically put upon his body. But what they do know is that Tanjiro Kamado is the reason why everybody around, from Demon Slayer to random person just living their life, can now live their own lives in safety. And that right there is the end of What If Tanjiro Had Space Breathing. And if you enjoyed, show some love. Leave a like, leave a sub, leave a comment down below. All that good stuff. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and hope all y'all have an amazing day. Later.